So today I have a wonderful guest who is actually a vet in my area, and he's an integrative vet, and he has written a book. And the book is very interesting because it's about metaphysical concepts. And so I asked Rob, and his name is Rob Brudar. Rob, if he would like to come on my show and chat about his wonderful book that he's written. So big welcome, Rob. Wonderful to have you here. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I appreciate your time and for considering me. It's a wonderful opportunity to share it with everybody because I really want to share what this book is. It's just I think it's a beautiful sort of story and you can actually learn some stuff from it as well. So yeah, that was the
Fantastic.
purpose of writing it. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Well, I'll ask you all about that. So I'd like to start by asking you about your background. So a little bit about, you and what inspires you, and then we'll get to the book. So love to hear about that, Rob.
I've been practicing as a vet in this area for 27 years. So, and I worked for 12 months down near Wilson's Promontory when I first graduated from Melbourne University. I've got beautiful family. I've got two kids. One's just actually left home, so she's 18, and I've got a 16-year-old boy, and my wife Kelly, that has been with me all this time, which is I'm very fortunate. And I mean, I've always sort of was, I always loved animals, and so that led me down the path of my veterinary career. And I think I had a fairly good brain, which allowed me to get through my studies. And I think in my 30s I had some unfortunate accidents or illnesses, and which then kind of led me down, a different path that which if I looking back into my 20s, I wouldn't have thought, I would have sort of followed, So, so one thing led to another, and then and this book was sort of an accumulation of those sort of experiences that I sort of that came to me, um, and I was able to, gather those concepts to come up with a novel that I did. So it was probably about 10 to 15 years in the making, really. So
Wow,
yeah.
wow.
Mm.
And isn't that interesting how, often it's like a health issue or some big event in your life that leads you in a different direction, often perhaps a spiritual or a metaphysical direction. Is that what you're talking about? You were led
Yeah,
more on that
absolutely.
pathway? Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, initially, no. Initially, I just wanted to get better, and I was to start with. It was kind of, there was a lot of, I suppose I call it self pity, where I just, because I was couldn't do what I used to do, and I was feeling sorry for myself, and I was probably pretty hard to live with, and I met some. I met who's now a really good friend, a physio, who said a few things to me at the time and sort of got me back on track. And then I started finding, these books and information started coming my way, which then I started sort of reading and learning and practicing new things, which then started opening up new ways for healing, but also for just living a great life, and living a life different to how I would imagine I would have, when I was in my 20s, So, and also a more sustainable life that's going to take me into, as we all get older, there will be a life that I can still live, with lots of passion and energy and enthusiasm. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Mm.
Well, we definitely both share an absolute love for animals, so that's exciting. I imagine you've tied some of that into the book, but perhaps tell us a little bit about this book. What inspired the book? I guess you've already given us a bit of information about what inspired it, but was there anything specific? And perhaps tell us
Well,
about what the book's about.
well, so the inspiration for it, well, I've always wanted to write a book, and I thought, initially I was going to write a technical book, which I still probably will. But Um, but no, with what I'd sort of been through and the ideas I had, I thought, oh, no, I'd like to write a novel. And then I was just coming out of the meditation, and I was doing a past life regression on myself, which is pretty cool. And as I was coming, I had this sort of vision of an Indigenous Australian man, and as I was coming out of the meditation, I had this name called Mangala, which sort of came into my awareness, and I'd never heard the name before, so I looked it up, and it's a Sanskrit word which means beautiful or blessing. And I thought to myself, I'm going to write a book about this. And then all of a sudden, I started getting information coming, different books and things that were relevant. And I thought, I could write about this and I could write about that. And then sort of it just sort of came to me, So, and there was no sort of, all the ideas were just, just sort of came to me, and it was great joy and great fun to write. So, yeah,
So did the plot unfold as you were writing? So you do like one section
yeah,
at a time, and then
yeah.
so you didn't even know what the ending would be. It just came as you were writing.
No, no,
Wow.
it came as I wrote it, and it was funny, like because it was almost like every time I wrote it would be like problem solving. How would the character respond? How would he get out of it? And it was really cool because I just got to have free creativity with it, which is really, yeah, really enjoyable. But so it was, yeah, in that sense, it was just written chapter by chapter. So I think it was, I had a rough idea how I wanted it to go, but I didn't know how it was going to end until I sort of got closer to it. So.
Sure. And isn't it like, because I'm editing and I've just written a book myself, and it's like a meditation, isn't it? When you're
Yeah,
writing, you go into this
absolutely.
zone, and it's
Yeah,
like a timeless space. And for
yeah,
me, there's so much joy there. So, encouraging everyone watching to just have a go, and get a pen out and just have a go at writing something,
yeah,
and tap into the frequency of how you feel, when you're doing that, because it is such, like you say, it's such a joy.
yeah.
And it's another way to really raise our frequency. What is perhaps share a little bit about the actual plot about
Oh, okay.
involved? Yeah.
So the book it starts off with a middle-aged vet, and he has and just sort of goes through his day-to-day life, which is very hectic as a mixed animal veterinarian, and just sort of shows the pressures of his job and just sort of his sort of lifestyle and how he sort of lives and interacts with the people around him. And then he has, because of his fatigue, he has a car crash and has a near death experience, and he then is transported into a non physical world and meets um, this indigenous healer called Mangala, who starts to teach Michael, who's the main character, uh, about reality in itself, and how reality is, how we shape it, and how it's not what we've been led to believe. And he tells Michael he needs to go back and because he's got unfinished business. And so when Michael comes back into the physical, into his body, which is completely crippled and maimed, and everyone thought he was never going to walk again, never going to talk again, he heals himself because he comes back with his special abilities to be able to heal himself and other people around him, and he develops other skill sets as well, which serves him through the book.
Wow.
Um, so that's sort of the start of it, and then the journey sort of unfolds where there's a secret organization who are basically the rulers of the world, and they sort of I call them the Anunnaki, which are an alien species, and they're sort of mixed blood, and people would have probably heard about that.
Yes.
Um, so, and and they hear about Michael's abilities, and they want him silenced. So
Sure.
um, he's then sort of incarcerated, and but while he's in prison, Mangala sets him a task to find or rebuild an ancient stone circle. I call it Green's Forest, and from there he has to rebuild these ancient stones, and they also have special powers, and provide amazing information, and Michael then unlocks the mysteries of their origins, in the Indigenous Australians, and goes from there. So then Michael has to do that, and also figure out a way how to escape from prison, and then save the world.
It's no pressure. It sounds very inspired. It sounds a lot like what's been happening here on the planet. We've been under the,
Well,
control of the elite, whatever you want to term them
yeah,
as. A lot of people say reptilians or whatever you want to call them.
yeah,
Anunnaki,
absolutely.
Orion,
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
beings. But uh, do you think that we are on planet Earth at the moment, that we are being liberated as we speak at the moment? Is that your feeling?
Um, yeah, I do. Yeah, I think. I mean, I think some of us are. I
Mm,
think we have the. I think with what's going on, I think people more and more people are awakening to the true powers that lie within us, and there's more and more information available, which is allowing people to access information that may not have been out there 20, 30, even 10 years ago. Um, I think there's great possibility for people to learn, let's say, all those special, great techniques, which or what we call ancient wisdom, to heal ourselves and to live, really productive and joyful lives, and also decentralized lives where we don't have someone telling us how we should live or what we should be eating or what we should be doing,
yes,
where we can decide what's best for us. So yeah,
that's
I
true.
think we are being liberated, but there is going to be probably a lot of pain before that process comes, and I think we need to be ready. So for sure.
Right, right. Well, the book sounds fantastic. Without
Thank you.
giving away the ending too much, um, is it is he able to save the world? How does that all how does that all go? Are you able to share some of that?
Well, well, yes and no. Yeah, yes and no. Um,
What can
like there's there's a bit, as we just said, like there is going to be some pain and there is going to be some breakdown in, I think, in the next sort of year or two, or however long it takes, there is going to be a changing of how society works, or there might be collapse in governments, or I think that's coming, and I think, and then we're gonna have to rebuild, and like I don't want to say too much, and there is another one coming after this as well. So if anyone is excited to read it, there is a sequel to this book. So
Fantastic.
so yeah.
You was it self-published, or did you go through a publisher? How did you, just for people out there that have maybe an
Well,
idea for a book and they don't know how to get it out there?
so what I did was, um, I self-published through a publishing house called Balboa. So
Mhm.
they sort of printed the book and sort of published it for me. I did all the editing was done through my editor Joanna Craven, who has written a number of books, and she's a fantastic author herself. And she really inspired me and gave me a lot of excellent feedback and encouraged me to take it to the next level. So without her, I probably wouldn't have probably had the confidence to go as far as I did. But she
Oh,
really sort of really gave me fantastic feedback, and just really and also gave me a lot of tips on how to improve how I wrote as well. So
so she
so
did it like
yeah,
editing and proofreading. She was doing those.
she does. Yeah, she does it through. I think it was Upwork. I contacted Joanna on. She was just fantastic, and I'll definitely use her again. So
Lovely.
So yeah, big shout out to Joanna. So thank you.
Oh, good to know if
Um,
there's anyone out there
um,
that needs someone like you.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and if you want to have a good read as well, the books are fantastic as well. So,
great.
um, uh, and yeah, so I went through Balboa. Would I don't know if I'd go through them again, but
Mhm.
there are other avenues to publishing as well. So,
Yeah, it's such a big
so
area. Mm.
it is, yeah, and it's changed. The landscape is changing as
Mm.
we speak.
Mm.
So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the book looks fantastic and it's a wonderful plot. And I think people could really relate to it at the minute with everything that we're going through right now. How much is your relationship with Australia and your Indigenous sort of background in the book? How much is that part of who you are as a person, do you think?
I think, I mean, a lot of the places that are in there, they're fictional places, but they're based on where I live, with the land, and I have a great sort of connection to my local land and also to the local Indigenous people in this area. I've got a lot of friends that what I call them my friends, and they've been very welcoming to me in the community, um, and there's always a lot to learn from them and their knowledge and their culture. So um, in terms of it, um, and I do truly believe, like, um, that we're all connected, whether we're Indigenous or whether we're Caucasian or Asian, or it doesn't really matter. Like, we're all human beings first, and
Mm.
I think that's probably one of the messages of the book, that we are all human, and we're all brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers, and we probably should start. I think it'd be a wise thing if we could start to live with that kind of um, respect and understanding, and have a bit of care for one another rather than trying to kill each other like we're doing at the moment. So,
Mm.
I'm not saying that everybody does that, but there is a lot of violence, a lot of war. There seems to always
Yeah.
have been, but it is escalating, and it doesn't have to be that way.
No, no.
And it breaks my heart.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't mean to laugh then, but just the juxtaposition of the two things that you said was like, oh, yeah, it was interesting. You've disappeared. Oh, there you are again. The light keeps going out.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. Um, so the other question I really want to ask you, obviously, you're an integrative vet. And our relationship with animals seems to be changing. I'm seeing a lot of really good initiatives coming out from overseas that are really much more supportive of animals. One of the recent ones that just came out was the Trump administration has cancelled nearly $28 million of grants used for animal testing. So, there's a lot of these types of initiatives that are treating animals as with far more value, I find. There's also in Spain the legal law that's come through that says that animals are part of the family. And so, I'm
Yeah.
noticing a shift with our consciousness in regard to animals. So, what do you think in terms of the animals on the planet? Are they here to teach us? What is their purpose? And are you noticing these changes that are happening as well globally?
Um, I I don't know about sort of globally so much, but certainly, I mean, I think. So can you repeat the question? I lost my train of thought in the end.
No
Sorry.
worries. That's
Yeah.
fine. So the animals, obviously are a very crucial part of, the world that we live in. And I'm
Yeah.
noticing that there's a shift happening both locally and globally where animals are being treated with more value and more respect. There's a recent
Yeah.
law that's just come out in Spain, where they're saying that animals are now can be classified as part of your family legally. Also in America, the Trump administration has cancelled nearly $28 million of grants used for animal testing.
Yeah.
So they're cutting back on animal testing. There's another initiative where fur is being banned in one country. So, wearing fur. So there's a lot of things like that I'm noticing. I'm noticing a shift in our consciousness and in how we treat animals, other life
Yeah.
forms.
Yeah.
How are you, as a vet, you would notice a shift perhaps in how people relate to animals? What are you noticing in that regard?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, it's definitely there's been a changing over the years. I've noticed a massive difference in how, in what people will do for their animals and for their pets, and they are becoming, more, part of the family, or, another member. But and so, yeah, I mean, that's been happening, in front of us, and and I mean, there's two ends of the spectrum. You have some clients who will do everything, and then other clients that, and whether it be for economic reasons, or where they can't afford to do everything, but they still come in to see us regardless, and that we'll do whatever we can to help them, and help their pets. So, so. And I think that the animals are there. They definitely do teach us. So I think they're our teachers for sure. And you only have to look at how a dog interacts, where they have no, everything's unconditional. With a dog, and they don't judge you. They just, and it's been shown, with studies, that people with pets are generally healthier, and more relaxed, have lower blood pressure, and they're more likely to go out for a walk, and they're just in generally are healthier. And as I say to people, what's dogs spelt backwards?
Yes, exactly.
and
God.
they
Yeah,
and and
yeah.
they look at me, and
No
they go,
accident.
oh, they
Yeah,
go, oh,
I didn't realize.
yeah. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think they are our teachers, and I mean, you only have to look at a dog. And I think Wim Hof himself pointed this out. He was, walking around. I think it was -20 in Poland, and he had his dog with him, and he was walking around as Wim Hof does in his shorts. And he said, I was out there just, trying to stay alive, and
Hmm?
here's my dog. He's just playing in the water, just swimming and having
Having
fun. And
fun.
he goes, and here I am just trying to stay alive. So he goes, here's my teacher, and I thought, that's so true.
They're so present in the moment, like they're
Yeah.
100% now in the moment. And
Yeah.
I think that teaches us so much because
Mm.
we're often thinking, oh, what are we doing later? Or, we're thinking about the past and not being centered in the moment. And that's
Yeah.
joy, that your joy is the moment that you're in right now.
Yeah.
You have the greatest levels
Yeah.
of emotion and feeling when you're 100% in the now moment.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And that's just what we have to try to get to. And
Mm.
but yeah, and dogs can teach us that as well. And I mean, even if we talk about them teaching us, the fact that they can pick up if an owner is about to have an epileptic fit, or if
Yes.
they're about to have a hypoglycemic episode, or they
Mhm.
can sniff out, drugs. And there's so many that they're just so that their perception is very, very different to what ours will ever be. And we just can't really truly fathom just what they're actually seeing and thinking and doing. But what they are, they're just amazing beings. As I think, every being has their own perceptual capacity and their own brilliance. That we may not be able to truly tap into, but it's definitely there, though. That's just
Definitely.
life,
Yes.
which is beautiful.
Yeah, it is lovely. I have a lovely little story to share. I started a group in the area and we got together the other day, and one of the girls in the group said she knew someone who had a little dog. It was 2 years old and the owner didn't want it anymore. And they said that, yeah, if they don't find some place for the dog to go, they might have to consider putting it down. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to let that happen. So I put it in the group because it's got quite a few people in the group now. And one of the girls in the group said, "Oh, look, I'd love to have a little dog because her dog had a best friend that she owned, two dogs, and then it passed away about 2 months ago. So that dog was really missing his friend who's just passed, and she thought, I'll get
Mhm.
another dog as a companion, for this dog. And so the story was she just picked it up yesterday, took it home, and the little dog is as happy as a bird, and
Beautiful.
just fitted in beautifully, and is already following her around everywhere like she's the mum, sitting at her feet when she sits down. And it's just such a beautiful thing. So I was so excited to know that that little dog got a home, a beautiful home too.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah,
lovely.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it was
yeah. It's and they're so easy dogs. So they'll just fit in, and because we'll often rehome animals like that, and cats are as well. And they find they just sort of fit in with whoever they go to, and they make the most of it, and they just yeah, as long as
slot
you
in.
look after them,
That's right.
and they'll look after you. So
That's right.
yeah,
That's right. There's a
mm,
really beautiful clip I just watched the other day talking about horses and how horses have the ability to straight away see a person's soul and to read their soul. And they have this incredible inner insight and inner knowing. And
yeah,
so I'm going to, hopefully, if I'm able to, I'll share it at the end of this video, but it's fascinating.
okay,
This
yeah,
fellow
yeah,
talking about that. So, well, I've got all your information in the bottom of the description here in order for people
yeah.
to order the book. Can you just share with us where people go to order the book?
You can either just go to the Balboa website. You can order it directly through them, but you'll also find it on Amazon and other. I think you can just order it through Amazon as well. So as a digital or a paperback.
I'll leave a link
Yeah,
below for that, so that'll be great. So, Rob,
thank you.
tell me about your vision for 2026. Do you have anything exciting ahead that you're focusing on for the year coming? Because now we're getting to the end of the year. It's good for people to start, I guess, thinking about, how they're going to create a beautiful life in 2026.
Well, I've always got a lot of plans for every year. Once I was trying to say present every day, but the main thing
Oh, you've
is,
gone
excuse me.
again.
So there we go. So I will hopefully have my book out this year, my second book out, and I'm working on some books through Brighteon.com as well. So Mike Adams to get some uh, technical books out as well. But
Right.
so that'll be produced fairly quickly. So that will be hopefully the next month or so. And then I'm looking at doing some courses and possibly the Wim Hof accreditation and maybe starting a Qigong master and training course as well. So that should keep me fairly busy.
Oh,
Um,
fantastic.
yeah, yeah.
Is there someone in,
So
in this area that teaches Qigong? Qigong?
Um, well, hopefully me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, hopefully me.
That's great. I'd
Um,
love to learn.
but
I
but
want
I'm
to do it's great for older people who don't want to necessarily go to the gym and knock themselves out, but it's a bit
yeah.
more of a sort of a gentle way of for people that are in the older brackets, shall we say, to do
I
gentle
think
exercise that
it's
doesn't strain the body.
Well, it's interesting. I think you can get a real good workout with it.
Hmm.
As much as like there is a gentle component to it, but it also it really does work you, and it, it it keeps your um, all the joints sort of moving well
Yeah.
without sort of the strain of doing sort of weight training, but
Yeah.
you can still get some real great benefits from it. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a qualified teacher, but I could certainly show you some stuff. Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah,
Wow.
it's very good, very good.
I've heard that.
So yeah, that's kind of there are a few things I've got planned, but I'm sure there'll be other surprises come along the way. So I don't like to plan too much.
Sure.
Just like to have an idea and then just see what happens. Because
Be in the flow. Yeah.
yeah, and then something even better comes along, or something different comes along which you didn't expect. So
That's true.
yeah,
Well, lots of luck with the book, Rob. I hope that you get a few people watching that are going to purchase the book and read it and maybe make a comment under the video about the book. I think it's fantastic to be able to put your creativity out there, and the story sounds fabulous. So
thank you.
I will be
Well,
purchasing a copy, but I haven't had a chance yet, but I will
thank
be.
you. Thank you. And I just hope anybody that reads it, I hope they really enjoy it as much as I enjoy writing it. And I hope, yeah, and just, yeah, just enjoy and, yeah, take.
You have a beautiful Christmas, and keep me posted too on your next book. Is it an extension of this book? So it's like a
Yes. Yeah.
continuation.
Yeah.
Yeah, right,
It's yeah. I won't say too much, but it's sort of it's not an actual. It won't sort of follow on from the end of this book. It'll be written sort of in parallel. So,
right.
but it still has similar themes, but a few other different themes as well. So, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Mm.
Well, thank you, Rob. Lovely to chat with you.
Yeah. Thank you, Medina. And yeah, we'll speak soon. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you.